Hi all, welcome to this video series for learning SQL for data engineers and analysts. Data handling is at the core of data engineering and analysis for both structured data and unstructured data. In this video series, we will look at structured data from databases. All databases are structured. They have predefined tables and columns in tables that store data in organized manner. We'll start from easy beginner level and progress towards increasingly harder queries in SQL in this series. I want to start with an online SQL interface where you all can easily go and try out and practice your SQL queries right away. For this, I have chosen to start with W3 Schools interface. Just go to a browser and type W3 School. Click on SQL here and then click on this, try it yourself, and you will get the SQL statement interface where you can run all your queries. And they already have a database with all these tables here: customers, categories, employees, order details, orders, products, shippers, suppliers, with these are the number of records or number of rows. Let's start with the most basic query, select clause. Select clause is going to select rows from a table. So select star means all columns. Select all the columns from, this is the table name, customers. So this is the customer table, which has 91 records. And to see all the tables and all the rows of these customers table, this is the simplest query that we type: select star from customers. Let's run this SQL query. And here we have the table. It has these rows: customer ID, customer name, contact name, address, city, postal code, and country. If you want to, for example, select a couple of rows, columns here, and only show those in your view, in your query result, then instead of star, type just the name of the columns that you want. For example, let's say we want customer ID, customer name, and city. So let's do that. Customer ID. So selects, instead of star, we put customer ID, and then let's just copy the column name from here. Customer name, and then let's choose city. From customers. Then we will have the view of the query, which is the result of this query, that will have only these columns instead of all these other columns. Run SQL, and that's what we have: customer ID, customer name, city. Customer ID, customer name, city from this customers table. So this is how we are going to select particular columns from databases, from tables. To select particular rows, we use something called where clause, which we are not going to cover in this episode. We will go and cover it in the next episode. For now, let's focus on the select and how to read these queries and how to refine the basic queries. Okay, So as your queries get increasingly more complex, it's good practice to have it organized, and hence it's kind of customary to arrange the queries like this. And sometimes when you so if you have one table, which is almost never the case, you have multiple tables. So if you have one table, you can write it like that. But if you have multiple tables, people usually do it like this. And same for the column. So you do select and then all the columns that you want, and that's it. This is how in complicated queries you keep track of what's going on quickly in an organized manner. So here, if for example, now let's see if you can change the column name. For example, customer ID is too long. We just want ID here. So in that case, to change the column name in your view, and this is not going to change in the actual database. The database will still have the column name as customer ID, but in your view or in your query result, if you want to change the name to ID, let's say, you use the as clause. So customer ID as ID, or it's your name, you can do whatever you want. So you can do this, or you can do whatever name you choose. So let's just do ID and run it. And here it is, ID. Instead of ID, if you want to say, let's say cust ID, you can do that as well. Run SQL, and that's it. So you can change the column names to whatever you need, like this with this as clause. So this is the most basic query that you will face, and after that there are various other things that you can do. And so next thing would be to, let's go back to the select star, and we would have all the columns again. Okay, and now we want to see how many rows there are here. To do that, if you want to count the number of rows, we use a clause called count. So select count star from customers, run the query, and you have 91. So if you want let's say to also have the ID here, so select, what was it, customer ID and count star. That won't happen because count star is counting all the records, and customer ID is particular to one each row, particular to each row, and count is the aggregation of all the rows. So with count, you cannot have something called customer ID. This would give you an error. If you run the query, you get an error in SQL, and you try to execute a query that does not include the specified expression customer ID as a part of the aggregate function. So count is an aggregate function. It's aggregating various rows together into one result. And for us, that result was 91 because we were counting the number of rows. So to aggregate in certain manner, we generally use something called group by, which we will cover in a future episode. But for now, let's go back to star. So count star is just counting the rows. Let's go back to star again and look at all the columns here and see what we can do. So actually, let's try to give you the basic concept of group by here right away. So we want the results. So we want to count how many records we have, how many rows we have for the country Germany, or for the country Mexico. So for all these countries, for each country, how many rows we have. So if that's the query you want to you want to build, then what is it that you are going to do? Let's think. What are we going to do again? We are going to count how many records are in for corresponding to each country. So we will do again count star, but now we are aggregating by country. So select this from customers, then write group by and country. So we will group by country. Sorry. So here we go. And then run. Now we have all the counts of all the records for each country, but we want to see which country has how many. So we will add the column country and count star, because we are grouping by country and counting for each country. So country will be able to use the aggregate. But remember that ID was not being able to, because it was distinct for every row. But country is common to a set of rows, and for that set of rows, we want the total count. So here, Argentina 3, we have 3 rows. Austria, we have 2 rows. Belgium, we have 2 rows, and so on. And Germany, we have 11 rows. France, we have 11 rows, and so on and so forth. So this is how you use the basic group by to aggregate things. So now that we have covered the basic group by, we can let's go back again to, okay, before we go, let's see. So we have here the name of the column as something random. You want that to change it to country number. Let's say number of people or number of customers for each country. So this count, this is the count. This count should be renamed to, using the as, number of customers. So let's do that and see how that goes. So now it changes to this. So this country has that many customers, this country has that many customers, and so forth. So what have we learned so far? We have learned the basic select clause. We have learned how to count the total number of rows, how to count anything. If you want to count a subset of something, you have to use the group by to do that. And we have also talked about how to rename temporarily for this view the column names. And then we have also talked a little bit about very basic things about group by. Okay, so so we have talked about how to rename a column. We also can have an alias for tables just by writing, let's say so in this more complicated queries, we cannot keep repeating the table names. When we have multiple tables corresponding to all these column names, you need to have the table name there. So table name dot column name, table name dot column name, like that. And this longer table names are going to become very cumbersome. So usually we use an alias, like something like that. See, so you do this by just doing like that, customers C, and then you will use C dot country, C dot this, that, and that, and that's how it works. Okay, so here we just have one table and there is no confusion, so we are not using this, but in future we are going to use that table alias. Okay, so now that we have covered all these basics, let's go back to select star and look a little bit more in detail at the rows. Oh, okay, so group by, remove that. Yeah, okay, so let's study this table, the data and how it looks. So if you are going to be a data engineer or a data analyst, you have to spend a lot of time studying your data, how it looks like, and what can we do sometimes to combine a few columns together into one column, which are other we use some aggregate techniques for that. I'm not covering that right now, but so it's important to make yourself comfortable with looking at the database that you have, looking at the tables that you have, at the columns that you have, and familiarizing yourself and making yourself very, very comfortable with just looking at what the content of this data is, and looking at whether the data looks like data, not gibberish, or whether there are any null values here, or whether all the rows have data in it. So all these are very essential to clean the data for analysts, and also to familiarize yourself with the data. It's very important. I cannot underscore the importance of it enough. You have to spend time with the data to familiarize yourself with the data. So when you see a table and a database, the first thing you do is just start doing a query. That I think it's better to just take a second to just run select star from table name and familiarize yourself with what this table is about. It's very important that you do that, and very important that you make it your habit to automatically study the data when you do it. Okay, so now that we have done that, we see that here in customer name we have alphabetical names, we have contact names, we have address, we have city, postal code is number, and some of them are some of them are also contain alphabet, so it's probably a string as well. And country is also alphabetical. So let's see what we can do to alphabetically sort each of these columns. Let's just start with country. So it looks like it's already sorted by customer name. I think these are A's and then B's and then blah blah blah. Looks like it's sorted by customer name. Let's sort it by country now, and let's see how that goes. What we can do for that is, first of all, we want all the columns. We're not selecting the column, so we will just keep it as select star from customers. But to now sort it, we will use something called order by. So where we are ordering the rows in a manner. So order by, and we want to order by country in this case. So we will go and write country here. Let's see what the output of the query is. So here we have now ordered, instead of ordering by customer name, now that has changed and we have ordered it by country. So we have all the Argentina and then the Austria and then Belgium and then Brazil and then so B's and then C's, Denmark, Finland, France. So remember, France had 11 rows. Germany had 11 rows. Let's see if they're all clumped together here or not. We will count all the fronts here just to double check. Remember, I told you it's very, 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 very important to familiarize yourself with the content of your tables, with the data. If you are going to be a data analyst or a data engineer, this is going to be very important. You have to make yourself comfortable with the data content. So let's go and count it and double check if there are indeed 11 of them all here or not. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 6, and then 7, 8, 9, 10, and then this is 11, and that was the last one. So we indeed have all 11 rows here together, ordered together in these set of rows. And then Germany also had 11, so let's double check that as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 5, and then 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10, 11. So 11 for Germany. So after checking a few, this is called sampling of the data. After checking a few and verifying that the result is what you're expecting, you can be sure that your query result is resulting into what you are expecting. Sometimes, especially when you have complicated queries and you have the subqueries inside queries, it quickly becomes out of control, especially with a lot of joins of tables, multiple tables together. What you expect sometimes differs from what it actually outputted. So in that case, you need to rethink whether you wrote the right query or not, or there is something wrong in the logical thinking of the query, and you have to go back and fix your queries like that. It's not going to give you an error, it's going to run fine because syntactically it's fine, but it is indeed going to have a logical error inside, and it will give you a different output than you expect. And with a table of sizes that are like 50,000 rows, 100,000 rows, or 1 million rows, things get complicated very fast. And especially with join of, let's say, a table of size 1 million with a table of size 2 million. Now you have millions of rows. And do you see how things would get so complicated that you will not be able to keep track of your queries? And it's very important to keep track of your output, because you already know the data. You'll be able to like verify very quickly a thing or two by sampling, and then go back to your queries to check whether your query is logically correct or not. I think it's a good practice to make it your habit to do that. Okay, so now that we have tried the order by with country, and we have so of course all these countries have a bunch of cities, and for Argentina we see that it's the same city, Buenos Aires, and but for Austria it has Salzburg and then Graz, and this is not sorted. The city is not sorted here. The country is sorted, but it kind of has put together all the rows in the way that it was in the database. It did not sort the city. If you want to first sort the country and then sort with the city, then you have to write it like that. Country first. So first sort with country, and the result then sort the city. So we will write order by country and then city. If you do the opposite, then it first sorts by the city and then sorts by the country. So let's run this and see. So now you have Graz first and then Salzburg. So it has sorted the city. And likewise for Belgium and others look all sorted. Canada, MTV. So the city is now sorted as well. So what did we learn here? Order by can have multiple columns sorting in the manner that you want. So you want it to be primarily sorted by country and then sorted by city. And then we can, for city, if there are multiple cities, let's say, and there are here same cities, and we want it sorted by postal code, looks like the postal code is also same. They all live in the same area. Interesting. Okay, so if we want to sort it again, next after we sort city, we sort it, let's say, by address, okay, or we sort it by let's say customer name. So after we sort by the city, we want it to be sorted alphabetically by customer name. Then what are we going to do? And so first sort by country, then city, then customer name. The order, remember, is important here. So then we put customer name. I'm just gonna copy from here. And then I'm expecting it to sort. So C goes first and so on. And that's what happened. Okay. So it sorted by country, then it sorts by city, and then by customer name. Let's go check out the other countries. So this is already sorted by city, and each city has only one customer and hence sorted by default. So if you have multiple cities, rows of cities of belonging to same cities, that's when we will see a sort result for the customer name. So, and here it is sorted again. Okay, so we have sampled the data quickly to see that we are getting the result as we expected. So the query is logically correct. Okay, sometimes, so here we are all sorting, ordering by all these things in an ascending manner. So sorting from A to Z is ascending, but if you want to sort from Z to A, descending, so you can use something called descending. The thing is that by default, when you use order by with a column, it sorts ascending. If you want to sort descending, you have to say that, specify that. So if we want the, what is the last country here? Spain. If you want Spain and then Portugal and so on, so sort descending, we will write sort descending here. And then run the query. Oh, we also had Venezuela, USA. Okay, there were more. Anyway, so here we have sorted descending with country, and then ascending with city, and then ascending with customer name. So if you want to sort again descending with customer name, you can do that, and this should change. Oh, the city is different. The city is different, so it's already sorted. Okay, so let's try out something where the city is same, and then we will know. Portland here, and then here we are sorting first T and then L, so it's descending sort. If you remove that, and we will check it again with USA Portland, if let's remove the descending here and run the query again. Let's go back to USA Portland, and then here we have then L and then T, so it's sorted ascending. Okay, so you can specify ascending by ASC and descending by DESC, but if you do not specify anything, ASC is default. Okay, so you can do that, but you can get away with not doing that as well. But if you want it to be sorted descending, this is how it is done. So far we have covered the basic SQL select clause. We have covered the count, order by, and the as for renaming the columns, and then a little bit of group by. But we have done this with only one table. Now let's see what we do if we want to look at other tables. So we see that we already have a bunch of tables here. That's to our advantage, and let's try to select which one do we want. Let's say we want suppliers. Okay, so select, let's remove this order by, and we will look at another table, suppliers, and this should have 29 rows. And number of records 29. But if you want it to be an output of the query, you can do so like this, count star, and that's we have. Okay, and if you want to rename that, you already know what it is. We need to do as number of rows, so num rows, and if you do that, then that's that. Okay, so let's go back and study the suppliers table and familiarize ourselves with what it is. So we have supplier ID, supplier name, contact name, address, city, postal code, country, and phone number. Okay, so and we have no null. Everything is has an entry. There is no gibberish ABCD 1 2 3 4 here. That doesn't make sense. There is no such data here. So the data looks clean and okay, and everything looks all set. Okay, so what do we have here? Supplier ID, name, and name, address, city, and phone number. Let's look at shippers. Shippers is all right. So I just clicked that, and that changed the query. Let's organize it like this. All right, and then the query is already here. Shipper ID, shipper name, and phone number. That's all we have. So if we wanted only shipper ID and shipper name, what are we going to do? Instead of star, we're going to put shipper ID and then shipper name, and that's it. And you can put it into multiple rows, but for now let's keep this and run. And now we have shipper ID and shipper name. Okay, so here you can specify your columns like that. Let's just click through all these things and see what we already looked at. Customers and the categories. Category is for what? So let's see what this table is about. This table has category name, so beverages, condiments, confection. So it's about product items, like grocery product items, and then we have 8 of them, and here's a description of what it is. It's a soft drink or dessert or cheese or meat, things like that. So these are all grocery food items, categories in the categories table. And we have another table called employees. Select star from employees to get everything, and we have 10 such records here. And we have employee ID, last name, first name, date of birth, photo. So here we have a file name corresponding to each photo, and then we have notes about this entry. Something is a member of somewhere. Okay, so a little bit about this employee. Okay, so you see how when you open a table, how to read the data set very quickly and check if there is any null value or not, or bad data or not, or what to do about it if there is. So it's very important to have this habit of, as soon as you open a table, to go through these basic checks as an analyst or as a data engineer, and then proceed with your query. Of course, when you are going to take a test or an exam, you're already assuming that the table is fine and all that. You can save some time, but in a work environment, I think it's a very good habit to take a look at the data first and familiarize yourself with it. And with that, let's say we want, so we're not going to do join today. We will be doing join another day, but I'm trying to see if we can see an overlap between tables that can be used for join, and we have to look a little more into it. Products, and then order details is order detail ID, order ID, product ID, quantity. Do you see here we have a bunch of IDs, which is a sign that this is a table that's connecting a bunch of tables. So order ID comes from order table, I'm assuming. 10248. Let's go back to order details table, and then you have 10248. Yes, so it comes from that orders table. Product ID comes from the hold on products product ID comes from the products table. Let's go back to our order details. So this comes from the orders table. This column comes from the products table. So it's this table, order details, is kind of connecting all these tables. So if you want to get something from orders table, let's go look at the orders table, and you have an order details ID here, which is the ID specific to this order details table. So this is the ID for this table, and by the way, ID is a unique thing. It's called primary key. So you may have, as you have seen, for example, in customers. Let's go back 1 second to customers. You have seen that it has country. In country, it has sometimes many rows have same countries, okay, and may have same postal code, may have same city, even same address, but for a particular customer, the customer ID is unique. So one customer has one particular ID. If another customer lives in the same address with a different name, another customer, so a different name, they would have a different customer ID. So each customer has a unique ID, and this ID usually is the first column of the table. This is more of a convention. You don't need to have that as the first column, but this is how it is usually. So this ID is called the primary key, and this is the key with which you join tables. This is the key with which you connect table data from one table with a data from another table. So these are complicated ideas, more complicated than the beginner clauses of SQL that we have discussed today. But I want to seed it into your mind today, so later when we discuss it, you get more and more familiar with it. And with that, I leave you to practice on your own SQL queries and get better and better at it, and just play around with these basic ones and get completely comfortable with it. And then in the next in the series, for the next episode, I'm going to cover the where clause. And so you have seen how we are selecting specific columns by naming the columns in the select query here. Okay, instead of star, you just name the columns. That's how you select particular columns. But when you want to select a particular set of rows, you need to have a condition, and that condition is specified along with the where clause. So we are going to look at the where clause and the different conditions in our next episode. Okay then, hope you enjoyed this episode, and see you in the next one. Bye.